like still alive while they're eating it, and then they notice him on the ground and they start going after him, and he starts shooting them, and he goes under a tank. He drops his big bag of guns too, so he only has like one gun. And he drops that, and he goes under a tank, and they start coming after him, and he's shooting, and he has like one bullet left or whatever, and you hear him mentally say, like, "I'm sorry, Lori," because he's going to shoot himself because he doesn't want to die that way. But then he looks up, and there's, like, an opening in the tank that he's underneath. And so he climbs up into that and closes it, and there's a body in there, and it starts to go after him, and he shoots it, and then there's a horrible ring, because if you shoot a gun in a tank, you're going to go, like, partially deaf for a moment or something. And all of a sudden, this little CB goes off. Those are called CB radio. And you hear the character Glenn, and he was like, what does he say? It's, fuck. Like, cozy in there? He's like, hey, stupid, are you cozy in there or whatever? And so then Rick starts talking to him. He's like, where are you? Who are you? And he's like, I see you got into the tank, and you're surrounded, but I can get you out if you just, like, follow my instructions, and I'll tell you where to run, and I'll meet you in the alley. And so Rick runs out, and there's no time to get the bag, because it's too surrounded, and so he runs, and he's shooting some walkers, and he goes down this alley, and meets Glenn, who is a Korean boy who used to deliver pizzas before this all happened. And so they're running, and they climb up this ladder, and they go on top of a building, and they go into another building where you meet some more of the group, and you meet Andrea Morales. Is it Morales or Morales? Probably Morales. Jackie, T-Dog. Is that all that's there? Well, because Morale's on the roof, but I'll get to him. And Andrew's, like, freaking out, and she's, like, has a gun in his face, like, you're gonna get us all killed, like, with all that shooting, because noise attracts walkers. If you don't have to shoot a gun, don't shoot a gun, because that will attract them, and you're screwed. And so she's like, give me one reason why I shouldn't shoot you now, because we're all dead. And she's like, meh. And they're like, don't, like, get off him. And they're talking, and he's like, I just want to find my family. And oh god, I think I left some shit out. Because there's, like, a part where Rick is driving before he gets to Atlanta. And he's on the CB, and he's like, hello, can anyone hear me? Are there any survivors? And then you see this girl, Amy, who is Andrea's sister, and they're at a quarry. And she's like, hello, hello, because they have a CB there, too. And that's where the whole other group is. Where Lori and Carl are, too, and Shane, and all the other characters, like Dale, and yeah. Okay, so back to Atlanta, and all of a sudden they start hearing more shots, and they run up to the roof, and it's Merle Dixon. And that's Daryl's crazy-ass, racist, drug-smoking dealer. Not dealer, brother. That's his brother. And he's just, like, shooting walkers from the roof and making a big hoopla. And they're like, you gotta stop that, because you're gonna get us killed with all this crazy-ass noise. And then he was like, why should I listen to you? I'm the one with a gun. Like, you should respect the man with a gun. And so, yeah, then they're, like, arguing with him, and he starts beating up T-Dog and calling him bad names, which I don't want to say. And Rick jumps in and, like, handcuffs him to a pipe, and he's, like, lecturing him, like, you don't need to be doing this right now, like, we need to be working together. And he's like, I'm just a man looking for my family, and, like, nothing can get in my way, or I'll shoot you, or whatever. I'm so bad at paraphrasing. I'm killing this. And so then they're like, we gotta figure out a way to get out of here, and so I'll skip the details, because I'm sticking to, like, the whole fucking episode. And so what they do is they drag some bodies in, some walker bodies, and Rick and Glenn put on coats and stuff, and they chop up the body and cover themselves in walker blood and walker guts, so they got decomposing stuff all over them, and Glenn's throwing up because it's so nasty. And so they do this so that they can walk through the walkers, like, unnoticed, because they can smell your living flesh, like, that. They're like animals in a way, like, they can smell you, so if you smell like them, they're not going to bother you. So they're walking around, because they got to get to this big old truck that they can back up to the mall, where they can get all the other people out. And, yeah, and so they do that, but then it starts raining, and so it washes all the stuff off of them, and then the walkers can smell them, so they gotta run to the truck. And they do that, and they're like, but we gotta distract the walkers to get the truck over there. So they hotwire this little, like, red sports car, and Glenn gets in, and he turns on the car alarm, and he drives around to the front, and distracts all the walkers, and gets them to, like, leave, so Rick can come in with this big old truck. This is like a whatever. Like, you know, a big truck. Whatever. And so he backs it up, because Glenn's distracting them. And then they're all running down, like, oh my god, we gotta get there now, we gotta go, go, go. And then, but Merle's still chanting, it's like, wait, you can't leave me? Like, even though he's a bad guy, you can't leave him. And so, Rick had given T-Dog the key, and he's, like, looking back, thinking, like, I don't know if I should, because he's just a racist bastard, and no one will miss him, except for Daryl. But then he goes back with the key, because he's gonna, you know, unlock it, but then he fucking trips. And, of course, like, this is just too fucking... The key drops down a drain. Like, it could fall anywhere on the roof. Like, he trips and drops the key, and it bounces down into a drain. Like, where are the chances of that? And so T-Dog's like, I'm sorry, man, and he leaves, but he changed the door shut so the walkers can't get to Merle. And then they leave in the truck, and they come back to the camp, and they're all mad at Glenn because the alarm's going off, and because they didn't want to track walkers to the quarry. And they're all like, oh my god, where's everyone else? And that truck pulls up, and Andrea and her sister Rena, and they're crying. And then, Morale's and his family, because he has a wife and 2 kids, they're reunited. Not really important characters, so they leave, like, in the 3rd or 4th episode. You don't know if they die, they just leave, because they got family in Alabama that they want to go see. Yeah, and then they're like, how'd you guys get out? And they're like, oh, the new guy. And they're like, why don't you come meet him? And so Rick steps out, and Shane sees him, and it's like, oh my god. And the music starts playing, and this is like the sweetest scene ever. Like, I cry every single time. And, because, like, Lori and Carl seeing, like, the families reunited makes them sad, so they're off to the side, because they think that Rick is already dead. They thought he died, like, when this whole thing started. Because that's what Shane told them, because Shane thought he was dead. Because he couldn't get him out of the hospital. But, oh yeah, like, that's a whole other story. And so they think he's dead, and then they both look over, and then Carl starts running to him. He's like, Dad, Dad! And he's just, like, crying, and Rick's just like, oh my god, and the whole group's, like, looking at him, because they're just like, what are the odds that this random guy who saved our ass in Atlanta is the long-lost, like, thought to be dead father of this kid that's in our camp. And then Lori comes over, and they're hugging and crying, and they tell, like, later that night, they're at camp, and they're telling a story of, like, am I going to the 2nd episode? Where did the 1st episode end? Okay, yeah, I'm going to the 2nd episode. I'm sorry, because the 1st episode ends with, like, the walkers all over the horse, and I think Rick's stuck in the tank. So, you know, I'm going to stop here, and maybe I'll do the 2nd episode at some other time. You know what? Episodes are like 45 minutes long, and I'm at 40 minutes. You could have just watched the goddamn episode. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to be so into it. So, I'm going to stop right there. I hope you enjoyed this, Kevin. I don't even know if we're gonna watch it. But, whatever. Okay, bye.